This is Emily,
Henley,
and Sammy, and you're listening to Too Scary Didn't Watch.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Too Scary Didn't Watch, the horror movie recap podcast for those too scared to watch for themselves. I'm Emily. I'm scared.
I'm Henley, and I'm scared.
I'm Sammy, and I am very brave.
Ooh, we're getting faster at that.
Yeah, I feel confident about it today.
Good.
Did anything scary happen to us this week?
I mean, a scary thing that happened to me happened to most of the people in this room, which is we thought you died.
Damn it! That was my thing.
We really thought you died. Look, you didn't, and it was fine. And the thing is, you know what I was thinking about today? It's because we didn't hear from you all day in a text thread.
Yes.
And you just didn't have your phone.
A
which
red
is like,
alert in 2019.
It's a red alert. And so I was trying to think, I was like, are people more anxious now about if someone died than they used to be? Because before it's like I wouldn't know, but then I wouldn't be thinking about it. I'm not thinking about it until I text you and you don't text me back.
We're definitely
and then I think you died.
1,000% in a fear-based society. That is
Yes,
true.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
And I feel like many people jump to worst case scenario right
Absolutely.
off the bat.
I did that right away. Also because I felt responsible for you because I have been the last one to...
Didn't we say that I lost my phone for a day?
Yeah, no, I said you just didn't have your phone.
Oh, yeah.
It was, you just didn't have your phone, which is a fine thing to be without.
I was
is your phone.
really enjoying it. I was like, what a beautiful day. Not a care in the world.
Meanwhile, we're all like, should we go to Sammy's? What do we do?
Should we call the police?
And Jenna was like, this is going to be like the time I called Sammy 41 times in a row. And we were like, right. It's probably okay. We should all calm down.
Was that everyone's scariest thing? Henley? No, Henley, you said you had a good one.
I have a scary one. Talking about living in a fear-based society.
Oh, no.
I recently discovered that my fiance's parents have listened to these podcasts. Shout out to Rick Hamlin. I am so scared about you listening to this podcast. I feel like I say
a personal
really embarrassing, horrible things. And he specifically listened to the entire Lighthouse episode where I talk about furious masturbating a lot. And
my mom listened to that one too. Hi, Mom.
But that was my scary thing that happened this week.
A little scary.
Well, the other thing that Rick Hamlin said was that I convinced him never to watch this movie, The Lighthouse. Yeah.
Well, you really had thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
he will not be watching it.
All right.
Interesting.
Fine.
Well, fine.
I'm not happy, but what can I do? He's made up his mind.
He's made up his mind. And we're moving on. We're moving on to this week's film, which was a highly requested.
This is our most requested film because it's very scary, very spooky. A lot of people probably too scared to watch it.
Yeah.
Name of the podcast. Okay, this week's film was Hereditary. Woo! A very cheer-worthy film.
Yeah.
It came out in 2018, written and directed by Ari Aster.
Wow, I can't believe those two movies he made were back-to-back years. That's insane. What a feat.
This was
Very impressive.
his feature-length directorial debut, and it is starring Toni Collette, Gabriel Byrne, Millie Shapiro, Alex Wolff, and Ann Dowd. I love this movie. And
you've now seen it twice.
I've seen it twice. And here to talk about it with us is a very special guest. He is an actor. You've seen him on HBO's Crashing. You've seen him on Netflix's Flaked. The very funny George Basil.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Hi,
thanks.
Thank you for
having
being
me.
Thank you for being here.
And thanks for making me watch Hereditary because I think I was one of the people that was probably too scared to watch it.
Yes.
Yes. Well, and I have heard many people who were seen it and were like, I won't watch it again. So it was actually hard to find someone who would watch it again.
And we tricked
to do
you.
the podcast.
I tricked him. I should say that I sprung this on George. He was like, I'm not a big horror guy.
I'm scared.
And I was like, well, we need someone to do Hereditary, but it's a pretty deep end. I think I did say like it's a scary one.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, I've been wanting to see it because I saw Midsummer, which is very different, but also there's a lot of similarities. But Midsummer has a lot of like fun and jokes and like humor in it to cut the tension. This one, none of that.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just scary. And
do you feel tricked, George?
I feel tricked. I didn't until right this moment.
When the trick was revealed.
Wow, that trap worked perfully.
Well,
happy
George,
to be trapped.
Did anything scary happen to you this week?
Yeah, something scary did happen. I was by myself at my house, which is kind of less of a house, more of a hill. And
hard to imagine what that looks like, but I'm doing my best.
Picture where a hobbit lives, and that seems like
just
it.
picture an incline and a decline, and that's it. But this has happened before, but this shit went down this time, where I'm doing a bunch of work on it constantly, like I mentioned to you guys, and when you're there by yourself, and it's pretty remote, so there is no real, like, no one will find
no
me.
neighbor, no close
neighbors
neighbors.
in and of itself.
And there was a moment where I was pulling something out of the ground, and then it just like popped and gave way, and my back is to the fall. So it was just this moment of just like, what? And then like once
how high of a fall?
I would have been done. I think I would have been done.
God.
Or I would have been laying. It would have been like a 50 or 60 foot
The fall
tumble.
wouldn't have killed you,
Jesus.
but the time spent
laying
be
in my
discovered.
blood. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Laying with all my bones out would have fucking killed me eventually. But like
Yeah.
I did just think, because my parents live far away, like all the people, I just had this flash of like all the people that are responsible for me in a way
would be checking in.
close. Yeah.
So you didn't fall.
I didn't fall, but it was that moment of like looking down the hill after your heart stops racing, and then you're like, okay, I didn't fall, and I'm looking, I'm like, but if I had,
Damn,
I'm like
that is
hurt
scary.
and alone, and like what, like yelling out, like
It's like that James
yelling.
Franco movie.
yeah.
It's just like 127
I just cut off
hours.
fingers though for no reason because I'm too scared to cut off. I don't want to cut
Just
off
start
anything
working
big.
your way up.
Yeah.
That'll be better, piece by piece.
Cut my tips off.
That is scary.
It was alarming,
Yeah.
but I'm safe and I'm here and you guys trapped me, so
Yeah, you've been tricked.
nicely done.
So you don't usually like watching scary movies?
No, I don't. I have an 11-year-old little girl, so I usually watch what she's watching, or
And it's not Hereditary.
so far hasn't been. She will see it, I bet.
What's the scariest movie you've ever seen?
That kind of has a lot to do with the era. Because when I was a kid, it was Freddy Krueger.
Usually people answer that question by saying what they saw
When
as
they
a
was
kid.
Yeah, because that's when you're like,
well, because it affects you
totally.
so much.
The
as
trauma is
yeah.
real.
Yeah. My babysitter told me about Freddy Krueger when I was a kid.
And that was enough.
I literally, and I saw the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode.
Oh, those used to
about it.
scare
And
me.
that combination just did me in for a long time.
Yeah, my daughter saw on TV once. She saw Child's Play. Is that the one with like
Is
little
that Chucky?
Freddy? Little Chucky.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not all bad guys are Freddy.
This is the one where Freddy's a doll.
Yeah, Freddy's a woman and she burns herself. Freddy is Chucky in this. And it was enough. Like that imagery fucked her up. And she was just like, yo, I don't ever want to see that again. That doll messes with me. Like,
Yeah.
I remember
I get that. Things
Yeah.
really, especially when you're a kid, the
Yeah.
images really stick with you.
I
You
saw
can't get 'em out of your
Poltergeist
head.
as a kid,
That
and
one,
that one was no good for me.
That'll stick in there. That'll make you talk different for a couple years. Slower, quiet.
You know what else can make you talk different? A really strong cocktail. Which brings us to this week's cocktail hour. This week's drink is a Almond Old Fashioned. We chose it because one of the characters in the movie has a nut allergy that plays a pretty big part. So if you have a nut allergy, you're going to want to skip this drink. To make an Almond Old Fashioned, you combine 2 ounces of bourbon, a half an ounce of Disaronno, and 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. Stir all ingredients over ice and garnish with toasted almonds. This cocktail is very strong, and full disclosure, we all got pretty drunk. So, apologies, the end of the episode gets a little wild. But hey, it helped us make it through this very scary movie. So, cheers. Okay, should I tell you guys some trivia?
Tell us about this movie. I think I know. Well, that's not true. I've not known a lot about other movies we've done. This sentence is stupid. What I'm trying to say is I know very little about this movie because I'm truly so deeply terrified. Well, like really, really scared.
They played a trailer for Hereditary accidentally in front of a Peter Rabbit screening.
No, they did not. No, they did not.
And parents and children ran out of the theater screaming. Or like panicking, like covering their children's eyes. And the theater reimbursed everyone and gave them free movie tickets.
Where was this theater?
I can't. I didn't write that down.
So funny.
Mine are not as good as that, so I'm glad you went first. Actually, I wish I'd gone first because
you always want to start with the best.
Henley, let us down.
Peter out.
Everyone's gonna tune out after these. Okay, the primary direction Ari Aster gave composer Colin Stetson for the score was to, quote, make it feel evil.
I read that one. Wow. That is.
So everyone had that in their brain when they're thinking about this movie. The score accompanying it feels evil.
Totally.
Just another note about the score. He found inspiration through the sounds of water and animals while walking around in pitch black night.
Spooky.
So also think about that throughout the podcast.
So was he was going on like late night walks?
I guess so. And then my last one is Toni Collette has called Ari Aster the most prepared director she's ever worked with.
Wow.
I could see that.
Which is very impressive.
I could
see it. Feature length.
Yeah, and Toni works.
Yeah.
Toni works. And she's a beast.
She's a beast.
Gosh, she's amazing.
Yeah.
Should we watch the trailer?
I'm really scared. I'm really scared, but this is what we do. So I have to do it.
This trailer.
My mother was a very secretive and private woman. She wasn't altogether there at the end.
Mom? I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening? Tina! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother! Please stop! Mom, what's happening? Make it stop! Make it stop!
I just don't want to put any more stress on my family.
I didn't swallow that whole time.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, that looked so scary.
It is.
Ooh. All right, let's do it.
Okay. So Toni Collette is Annie.
Family of four.
Family of four. A mom, dad, a son, and daughter.
Classic.
That's what I had. Scary.
This could happen to you. Toni Collette is Annie. The dad is Steve. And the daughter is Charlie. And the son is Peter. And Anne Dowd is Joan. We'll get into her a little later. The grandmother is Ellen.
Okay.
And it starts with Ellen's obituary. Oh, no, it starts with a shot of a dollhouse, right? Like a long shot of a slow zoom into a dollhouse. And it was in the trailer. And it was like, it becomes the actual room, which I truly don't know how they did that.
It's really cool.
And then it's like the dad getting the son, being like, we got to go to the funeral. He finds Charlie in her treehouse and is like, I can't believe you slept in here. It's so cold in here. We got to go to your grandmother's funeral. So Toni Collette is giving the eulogy, and Charlie is the daughter. She's extremely creepy.
Yeah. Thank you.
And side note, I've read an interview with this little actress and she was like, people are scared of me on the street.
That sucks.
No. And I'm actually really nice.
She's really good too. She's so fucking good at it.
How old is she?
Oh, I feel like I am bad at estimating ages, but I think, oh no, she says it 13. She's 13.
Wow.
In the movie?
Yes.
She looks way younger.
She does
than
look
me.
younger. I would have guessed 10, but she is 13.
Okay.
So
funeral.
there's a funeral.
Scary
There's a funeral. Does the daughter? Does she walk up to Mima laying in the coffin and?
Yeah, she's like
Something
drawing a
happens?
photo, and she's like, she does that a lot.
No, I don't like
That's
that.
her big
Ooh,
thing.
Oh, it's like a
that
nervous tick.
sound. Nah,
Oh, no,
that's
that
like,
just like
doesn't
triggered
like it.
something in George. He was
that's
like,
the
"Ah."
sound. It's played beautifully throughout the entire thing. Where it's like
It really
at
is.
one point it's just a childish sort of meaningless sound,
And then it becomes very
the
haunting.
the most haunting and important sound. Like you can actually track what's happening in
Through
the
the
story
sound.
through that sound.
Oh, this is where we hear that she like breaks out of bar of chocolate and is eating her bar of chocolate, and her mom is like, Annie is like, that doesn't have any nuts in it, right? So we hear about her nut allergy here in this early scene. That it's just a Hershey's bar. So she's like, no, she's fine.
So she could not be drinking the drink we are drinking currently.
That's why we picked this drink.
Mm.
Otherwise, she could. She could have this cocktail.
And here she
If it
is,
were-
ladies and gentlemen, special guest of the podcast, little girl, little weird girl.
Little weird girl. Hey, you look scary. What's up?
Hey, you're drunk.
Okay, so they're at the funeral.
So at their funeral, they leave the funeral, and then they like go back to the house, I think, and you see that Toni Collette makes miniatures. That's her like job. She makes these little like
She makes dollhouses, right?
doll houses, miniature little
Figurines.
Like
and
replica
stuff.
figurine
little things, yeah.
And she's tucking in Charlie after the funeral, and she says, you know that you were always her favorite, grandma's favorite. And Charlie says, oh, well, she always wanted me to be a boy.
Hmm.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, well, yeah, she loved you. And then Charlie's like, well, who's going to take care of me now? And she says, you don't think I'm going to take care of you?
I'm Toni fucking Collette, kid.
And then she says, but when you die.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's
Yikes.
true.
All this has happened in the trailer so far, which
Yes.
is interesting.
Yes.
We're just going to talk about the trailer.
We're recapping the trailer.
Got
only.
it, got it.
She's going through like her mom's stuff after the funeral, and she finds like a little notebook that has a little postcard that says it's to her, to Annie, Toni Collette, and it says like, forgive me, our sacrifices will pale in comparison to our rewards.
Hmm.
And then as she's leaving the room, this is the first like very spooky part for me. The mom is like in the corner of the room, in the dark room.
Toni Collette's mom, the grandmother.
Toni-
The one who
grandmother.
just died.
Yeah.
She's just standing there?
Yeah.
She's just standing,
Is she-
smiling.
She's
Yeah.
smiling.
I
What
think
is she
she's
wearing?
smiling.
Yeah. I mean, she's doing something.
She's not.
And she's just standing there. And it's like she's gray because she's dead and maybe a ghost.
Definitely
and
a ghost.
there she is.
And-
Just hanging out.
and-
Yeah.
But having a good time,
Oh,
smiling.
yeah. Looking at you.
Looking at you.
For sure. So you're fine. She's just staring at you.
And so she's like, Mom? And then goes to turn the lights on. She turns the lights on and she's gone.
Hmm.
Pretty spooky.
Really spooky. Spooky so
Um,
far.
And then it has a scene of Charlie at school,
Really, it's cool. That's when the bird thing happens.
bird thing.
Yeah, so they start to introduce all the weird supernatural shit, and then they tag it with like weirder shit.
Mm.
Cool.
Like, yeah, that bird smacks right in, and it's so realistic. Nothing's done for jump scare
Right.
sake. It's just
Right.
like you hear a bang, and then you see what it is, and it looks like a bird splatted into a plate glass window,
Yeah.
and then later, I don't know if it's the same scene or if they come back to
Was
it.
Charlie's
Yeah,
at
yeah.
school? It looked like in the again. This is from the trailer.
Yeah.
Bird.
That was a hospital, but fine.
All of this. Have
Call
you
it a
guys even
school.
seen the movie?
We just watched the trailer and crossed our
bet you
fingers.
just watched the
60
trailer.
times. And Toni Collette's in it, and Toni Collette's in it.
Toni Collette. Let's talk about her.
So Charlie's at school. A bird flies into the window.
Bird flies in the window, and then after class, she goes downstairs outside where the bird has fallen and is dead. Oh no! First, she like eyes a pair of scissors,
Oh, yeah.
and then goes downstairs and she pulls the pair of scissors out of her hoodie sweatshirt pocket
Yep.
and cuts the bird's head off.
She cuts his head off.
Wait, is the bird dead
Dead.
already?
It's
Okay.
dead.
Yeah.
Did.
It's dead. And now without a head.
Did without a head.
Headless dead.
Deadly headless. Yeah. I didn't get that. And I don't remember if I ever did get it.
Are they just,
I just
are they
remember
just
it
trying
being
to
fucked up.
explain like she's freaky?
She's freaky, yeah.
Well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay, but see,
Okay,
but you
but
do
it might
get
come
it.
back
I'd say it's a
later.
bit of foreshadowing.
You get it.
Oh, it's yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know.
Oh no.
So
I don't know what
she
could this
cuts the
mean?
pigeon head off. She tucks it in her pocket.
Yeah.
At some point, we get a look at her room, and it's like
A bunch of bird heads.
It's truly like something out of who's the like Sid in Toy Story, who's like creating all the like toys out of just
The
like
bully kid?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Like
him?
putting that one head on a different
glues,
body.
like all
Yeah,
these
yeah,
toys
yeah.
together.
She's
That's
like
what
a
her
tool video.
yeah, that's what her room looks
Or
like.
like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then Annie says she's going to a movie, but goes to a grief support group instead. And she's kind of like, doesn't know if she wants to go in. She's a little like, this is not her thing. But eventually goes in and is sitting in this big circle. And they're like, we want like new people to share. And she says, and it's a very great slow push-in shot. And she's saying like, oh, my mom just died. I don't think this isn't really my thing. And I guess like my family history is pretty bad. Like my
Just all kind of unravels and she goes.
she just spills everything.
fucking
She
ham.
just starts
Yeah.
talking
It's so
and
good.
can't stop.
It's really
so
good.
So we immediately get a bunch of context for her and her entire family
Yeah.
in this one moment.
Yep.
So she's like, yeah, you know, my mom's life wasn't easy. We weren't very close. She wasn't altogether there in the end. She had DID, dissociative identity disorder, and then just dementia at the end. And my dad died when I was young. He had psychotic depression and starved himself to death.
Oh my god.
Holy shit, psychotic depression.
I think so. Yes.
That's the worst of both worlds.
Yes, it sounds very
It
bad.
sounds bad.
And she says that actually. She's like, and I think that is probably as bad as it sounded. Like he starved himself to death.
Jesus.
And she's like, and my brother hung himself when he was 16 and wrote a suicide note saying that my mom was like trying to put people inside of him because he had schizophrenia.
Wow. So a lot of mental illness in her family.
Yes. Then it's
The car scene?
Peter wanting to go to a party.
Right. Peter is a little older than Charlie. He's a teen. He likes a girl, I'm sure. Or a boy, I'm sure. And he wants to go to a party, I'm sure. And we see him like ask, and there's, resistance. Like the mom's like, well, why don't you take Charlie? You can go, but you have to take Charlie. And he's like, she's weird and she doesn't want to go. He doesn't say the first part. He doesn't say the second part. And then he's forced to take her. He takes her. And so he goes to the party. You can see that she's absolutely not a part of this. And she's walking around uncomfortably like a little girl would. And
Yeah, honestly, more of a punishment for the little girl than
No,
for
she like
the
didn't want to go. And the
brother,
mom
yeah.
was like, you got to go.
yeah.
And
She
You
was-
gotta go
she
cock
didn't-
block your brother.
Yeah. Don't let him get too high or horny. So then she's there. You see her sort of like tumbling around the party. Someone makes cake. Her brother's like, here, eat cake. It's chocolate, like that shit you like. Eat it. And, he's just trying to get rid of her. Then he goes upstairs. He's taking bong rips. My man. And then the poor girl,
Oh,
the
no.
nut allergy.
Oh no.
Strikes,
no.
and she walks upstairs and she is so sweet, and she's just like, I think my throat is getting bigger.
Oh no.
They jump in the car and it's this frantic, like her in the back dying,
Oh my
him in
god.
the front seat freaking.
she's like,
Yeah, it was
Give that girl an EpiPen. My god.
they don't have
Yeah.
an EpiPen
Well,
on
they
them.
should.
nope.
EpiPens are expensive.
He just got a vape pen. That's all he had.
And he's like, we're almost at the hospital. We're almost at the hospital. She rolls down her window. She's like struggling for air. She sticks her head out of the window to like get fresh air. And a fox or like some dead animal is in the middle of the road. He swerves to avoid it and slams her into a telephone pole and decapitates her.
What the fuck? What?
Yeah.
Decapitates?
Yep.
Mabel, it's serious.
Wait.
Get out of this room right now.
Wait.
It's in the
If
first
that's the-
quarter of the movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This wasn't in the trailer.
It wasn't in the trailer. It was not in the
We
trailer.
actually watched the movie.
It's pretty graphic. It's pretty graphic.
It's
Everything about it is
bad.
graphic. They don't pull any punches.
What's very bad about it is Alex Wolff's performance in it, because he's so in shock.
He can't
Okay, so
do
I've
anything.
said
I mean, of
before
course.
how I like cried a lot in this movie.
Of course.
And he does such a good job. He just freezes. He pulls to a stop and he like starts to look in the rearview
Oh, God,
mirror
oh, God,
and
oh,
can't
God,
and
oh,
can't
God,
and
oh, God.
he overcorrects.
Oh, God.
And he's like, I can't look.
Oh, God.
And it just is him. It's like a close up on him for a while, just like shaking, blank faced, like completely in shock. And then he like slowly puts the car back in drive, like after a bit, and just like goes home, parks the car,
Goes to bed.
and gets in bed.
Oh my God.
Oh, my God.
He's like so in shock.
I mostly am shocked because I felt like that. Well, who knows? Maybe she'll come back. Don't tell me. But I felt like that little girl was like
The main character.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
you
set
did.
it up
They
like that
tricked
on
me.
purpose.
I've been tricked.
Yeah.
On my own show.
I got tricked. No. Oh my God. Holy shit. Okay. Wow, we're in it. Okay.
Yep.
So
That's a beautiful reaction, by the way. I mean, getting in bed is
And
like,
he's what, like 16?
I can completely like, that was very real compared
gets
to.
in bed.
Oh my God, and her body's still in the back of the car.
Yeah,
Oh
her body is in the
I
back of
mean-
the car.
Oh God.
Oh,
He
can you
gets
imagine?
in bed and it's a close up of his face in bed and
In
his
shock.
eyes just open for
Yeah.
the whole night. And then it like cuts to morning and Annie says to Steve, the husband, I gotta run out and get some groceries or whatever. And it is again just on Peter's face, listening to her walk down the stairs, open the door, open the car
No.
door,
Oh God.
No,
Oh
no,
God.
no.
Oh God.
and then just start screaming. And then it's just a truly, I think 3-minute long sequence of Toni Collette screaming from scene to scene. So it starts with her screaming in the background while you're on Peter's face in his bed. Then it cuts to her screaming in her bedroom, Steve holding her while she's heaving her body. And she's saying it just hurts so bad. I just want to die. Then cut to the funeral, Toni Collette still screaming, crying, lowering Charlie's grave into the ground. And then things are just very bad.
Yeah.
Now they are bad.
Now they're finally bad. Peter's never the same for the rest of the movie.
The family is not doing well. The mom is sleeping in the freezing treehouse
Oh, where the daughter
where
was
the
before.
daughter used to sleep.
With heaters, though,
With
yeah.
heaters, yes. So the red heat lamp light is visible through the window, so Peter can see that she's doing that. He feels very guilty and horrible. And then he comes home from school, and Toni Collette is waiting in the driveway in her car, hidden down in the driver's seat, so that the second that he goes inside, she leaves. She can't stand to be in the fucking house with him.
Oh, her
That
own
part.
son.
That part is
I
that's
really was
devastating.
sad. She goes back to the grief support group.
He's
And
it got worse.
it got worse.
Guess what
Nice
happened,
to
guys?
See you guys again.
Yeah, I had a
It's
scary
worse.
thing happen to me this week. Sure. Where do I start?
So she gets too scared to go in, and Joan just comes up to Joan is Ann Dowd, who was at the first group meeting, and just comes up to her window and is like, "Are you not going to come in?" And she's like, "Oh, I forgot something at home or whatever." And Joan is like, oh, well, how are you doing since your mother died? And she's like, well, actually, my daughter also just died. And she's like, oh, my son died and my grandson, they both drowned. And like coming to these groups really does help. So you should come in. But if you don't want to come in, here's my phone number if you just need a friend or someone to talk to during this time. And Toni Collette leaves. And so then eventually Annie goes over to Joan's house.
Yeah. So she is confiding in this lady. What's the actress's name? She's
Ann Dowd.
God, she's fucking good.
She's great.
Yeah,
she's so good.
And she's sharing this this event where apparently she woke up. Toni Collette's character Annie, played by Toni Collette, wakes up and has doused both of her children and herself with paint thinner and was holding
She was sleepwalking.
So this is a real thing that happened.
Yes, this is a real thing that happened.
What?
Yeah.
Joan is like, well, I think it like starts by being like, well, how's your relationship with your son? And she's like, it's been pretty bad since the time that I doused us all with paint thinner when I was sleepwalking and woke up from lighting a match. And then lighting the match woke Peter up and he like shot up and was like, Mom, what the fuck are you doing? And she was like, oh, like what? And she was like, I was just as scared.
Cleaning the house.
Like I was just as scared as he was. Like, why is he so mad at me? But like he won't let it go because it happened.
You won't let it go that I almost murdered him.
So they've had a traumatizing experience. The son and the mom's relationship is strained.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a scene where Steve, the husband, walks in on Annie making a miniature of the accident. And it's
headless.
It's like the like Volvo wagon
no.
with a headless Charlie in the back seat. Very realistic. The telephone pole. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, what?
It's cathartic.
She's like, it's a third person view of like, this is just a fact of what happened. Mm. And then we have the dinner scene.
I think it's going to be a big one.
So this is when
it feels empty because there's an empty chair at the table.
Yeah.
Does it seem like they're doing this every night? They're going to dinner every night with this empty chair staring at it? Is that the implication?
Yeah. Dark. They shot it really dark, like lighting wise. They shot it really quiet. They shot it really uncomfortably. It was fucking great.
Mm-hmm. They're all sitting there and I can't remember Toni Collette like smirks at something. Like Peter says something like, can you pass this? And she's like, oh.
She like scoffs at him.
She like scoffs at Peter.
Potatoes, you little stoner bitch.
Like she like does like a little something. And he's like, Mom, do you have something you want to say to me?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, he says something like, he curses at her and then she like jumps up. She's like, don't you ever speak to me like that. I am your mother. And like, I know you're hurting right now. And I know what you did was an accident, but you have to learn to live with what you did. And like, you're going to have to live with that for the rest of your life.
Oh God.
And like, he's just sitting there, like tears in his eyes, looking like so stressed. And
Jesus,
she just lays it on him.
Yeah. I was there. It was scary.
Not good.
No.
And then it's silent for a second. And then Peter is like, what about you, Mom?
Ooh.
Like, she didn't want to go to the party. Like, what about the part that you played? Like, you made her go to this party. And she is just like seething.
What's the dad doing this whole time?
The dad is just like, she storms out, and then it's the dad and the son, and they're like trying to eat the rest of their like potatoes.
Oh my God.
And it's just a wide shot of them, and Gabriel Byrne is like, and like puts his head in his hands. Like things are very bad.
Things are not good at home.
Things are not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then she like Annie runs into Joan in a parking lot of like a hardware store, and Joan is all like thrilled and ecstatic, and all of a sudden like, Annie, I've turned a corner. And she's like, what's going on? What are you talking about? And Joan is like, well, I met a spiritual medium and I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. There were a lot of skeptics there, but then what we saw, we couldn't be skeptical anymore. Like, let me show you. And so she takes her back to her house and they do a little seance situation, I guess, where they like have a little upside down cup. She's like, put your hands on it. And I'm going to call my grandson in. And she's like, whatever your name is, if you're here right now, move the cup. And the cup moves. And Toni Collette is like very stressed by it. She looks under the table. She's like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, oh, you're here. Like, I have this chalkboard. Like, can you write me a message? And Toni Collette's like, no. Like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And the chalk like starts moving and it says, I love you, Grandma. It writes, I love you, Grandma.
Wow.
Toni Collette freaks out. And she's like, I gotta go. I'm scared. I don't like this. And Joan says, okay, here's the instructions of how to do this on your own.
Here's a candle.
A candle.
That you have to light.
It's a candle and
It's pretty basic stuff. Like, it's easy for
Here's your seance starter kit.
easy for anyone to summon the dead. No
Here's
big
your
deal.
candle you have to light, and here are the words you have to say if you want to like contact Charlie.
But she gets really into it, right? When she realizes that it is a way that she could potentially communicate with Charlie or her
Yeah,
mom.
of course that would
So
happen.
she's like freaked out, but interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she goes home. There's a scene with her sleeping with her husband. And oh shit, I forgot to say something earlier. When right after Charlie dies, the next morning when the mom finds her body in the car, it like cuts to her head where it was left on the street.
That's right. I forgot
And
that.
is like covered in ants.
Oh, fuck.
It's
Yeah.
like a disgusting decapitated
It's a
head
visual,
covered in
yeah.
ants.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so now she's in bed with her husband and she sees ants on the pillow next to her and she kind of is like, what? And follows them and like finds a little crack in the wall and sees all these ants coming out, follows this trail of ants to Peter's room, and Peter's body is covered in ants. Like he looks like a dead body, like covered in ants.
Oh, Sammy, that was in the trailer.
Yeah, we only watched the trailer.
Cheater.
But he's not dead.
But so then
is it really happening, or is it like a
she
vision?
like screams and then he wakes up and he's like, Mom, what? And she's like standing there and she's like, what's happening? Like, I thought I saw. And he's like, what are you talking about? Nothing's happening. And he's like, fine, no ants. And then she says, I never wanted to be your mother.
What?
And he says, what? And she's like, she like puts her hands on her mouth like, fuck, what did I just say? And then she's like, I tried to have a miscarriage. And he's like, what do you mean you tried to have a miscarriage? And she's like, well, I did everything they said not to do. Like, I didn't want to be your mother. And then he's like crying. He's like, what do you mean? Like, you tried to kill me? And she's like, yeah, but I'm glad it didn't work. Like, I'm happy that I'm your mother. I just at the time, like, I didn't want to, but my mom was pressuring me so much to have kids and I just thought I should. And then it's like cutting back and forth between them. And then he's like soaking wet and she's soaking wet. And then they both catch on fire.
What?
And then it snaps to her waking up and it was all a dream.
Holy shit.
Oh,
That is a lot.
That was a lot. That was good. That was scarier than my cat dreams.
Journeys. Yeah.
For those keeping up, Henley's had some scary cat dreams, but this is scarier.
This tops up.
These are scarier dreams.
I want to hear all about your cat dreams.
They're honestly scary. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So then she's waking them up to do the little seance part.
Yeah.
She's basically like, I just did this thing. It's like in the middle of the night. And she like goes up to Steve and Peter. And she's like, you guys have to come downstairs. Like, I have to show you this. I just talked to Charlie. Like, come downstairs. And she's like getting more and more like frantic and like
Disconnected
Like
from
manic.
reality.
Great manic, yes,
Yeah.
as the movie goes on.
Okay.
But so she like makes them both come downstairs, and she's got the kind of same setup as she had with Joan with the cup, and they're putting their hands on it, and they're like, "What, Mom? Like, this is like you're being weird." And
But then the kid, Charlie, Tom,
Peter.
Peter. Then he stands up for his mom, and because the dad is just like, you're crazy, you're in grief,
grief. This
and
is
like this is like not healthy, and we should move away from this as opposed to supporting it. And Todd,
Peter.
Tid say
To be fair, all the names are incredible. I was getting them confused too.
Peter.
yeah.
His name is Peter.
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 So he, who is he? The dad? No, Tid. I'm talking about Tid. He
Steve is the
stands
dad.
up
Peter's
Steve
the
is
son.
the dad. Peter's the son.
Yeah.
Peter stands up for Toni Collette.
for Toni Collette.
This is a documentary about Toni Collette, the actress.
This is Toni Collette's life.
Toni Collette has had an unusual life. Tune in to find out more. Okay, so he stands up for
I
her.
was like, we should
They-
do this.
Yeah. And we haven't talked about the light.
Oh, yes. So, like,
The light is a subtle feature where you see it moving through environments, and it'll take up the entire. It's sort of like an outline that focuses in. So it'll take up an entire environment, wall to wall, your entire field of vision on screen, and then always come into one
come into like a
unified
point.
Yeah.
And
that
it
thing
happened
goes
when Charlie
into
was still
people.
alive. There
Yeah.
was just kind of this creepy light thing that's kind of just been flickering in the background
Right.
for them
That you
Oh
can't
my
really
God.
identify.
sporadically.
I just remembered the mouth clicking thing, and it's definitely gonna come
Yeah,
back. Oh
do it.
no! Okay.
So, okay, they're doing the seance, and she's like, move the cup. Cup moves quite a bit. And she's like, Charlie, that was so good. Then the candle flame like blows up in the air. And then Toni Collette starts making this noise like, oh. And then you hear Charlie's voice through Toni Collette's mouth going, Mom, Mom. And it's Toni Collette giving this performance
Wow.
of like, Mom, and the dad and brother are like terrified, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, shut up. Like, what's going on? And she's like, what do you mean shut up? Like, what are you doing? Why are you scared of me? Why is everyone scared? And she's like freaking out, and Peter is like, Mom, I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this. I don't like this. What's going on? What's going on? And she's like, Mom, why is everyone scared? Why is everyone scared? And then Steve like throws a cup of water on her, and she like comes to as herself again. And then Peter like bursts into tears, and
Poor
the
Peter.
dad and son are like holding each other crying, and Toni Collette's like,
What are y'all's problems? I'm chill.
she's
she
like,
said.
what
So she comes to and hasn't remembered anything that just
she's
happened.
like, what happened? What,
She,
like, blacked
what's
out for a
going on?
second.
Yeah.
Got it.
Then we get to next day. Peter's at school, and he hears
No.
in his
Out of nowhere.
classroom,
No.
That was too good.
No.
Don't stop.
and he's looking. He's hearing it from all different angles.
Oh no!
So he's turning.
Oh, no.
He's
Oh my God.
turning.
And when you're in the theater, is it like from different speakers? You know how they
Probably,
like do.
yes.
Fuck,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So he's
I didn't
turning.
think of
Surround
that.
sound is scary.
Yes, it is scary.
I think it's scary.
Ari Aster does like to play with surround sound. He did that in Midsummer too.
It's scary.
So he's turning to his left, to his right. Where's that coming from? And then he like slowly looks into the glass cabinet to his left, and his reflection smiling at him. He's not smiling.
No.
He has nothing to smile about.
There's nothing.
That's so spooky.
For
That's
those at
so
home, this is in the
spooky.
trailer.
That's so spooky. I bet you can find it as a GIF online.
I bet you can.
Probably
It
is a
is
perfect GIF.
scary.
It's
and
very
someone's
scary.
saying like me going into 2020.
Henley, you've done it again.
Henley, our political host.
It's a meme. Me going into 2020. Here's me in 2020 coming.
I I'm not wrong.
Oh, that is good. That is good.
Oh boy, a perfect meme.
We're going viral.
Oh, perfect meme.
That was good.
Okay.
Okay, so he sees his reflection smiling, and then he hears another, and he freaks out, and he's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And then cuts to Annie in her little workshop. And then they come home from school. Steve picked Peter up from school, and they say, like, what's that smell?
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
she like smashes all of her miniatures first too, because
She
she's like
ruins the
so
whole
she's
thing, yeah.
so stressed. Annie hears something coming from Charlie's room. It's Charlie's like sketchbook. The pages are turning by themselves. Drawing is happening.
It's drawings of.
Well, it hasn't showed us yet.
Okay, good. We won't never know then.
So it's like a ghost drawings.
It's just like the pages are flipping and drawings are happening.
Okay.
This is a scene I really don't like. Peter,
I love when you give us those. So I don't like this part.
But I guess I have to tell you.
I wrote it down, so here goes. Hated this.
The terms,
Peter
the contract
is
with this
laying in his
podcast.
bed and
No.
and looks in the corner, and Charlie is standing in the corner,
Mm.
and she tilts her head
No.
forward in such a way
No.
that it falls off her body
No. Fuck. Ugh.
and then becomes a basketball, and you see just like
becomes a basketball?
Well, like you see that it was just like a basketball falling off his like shelf, like it was like a trick
right.
of a trick of the eye. Yes.
God.
And then hands grab his neck
Oh, yeah.
from behind his bed.
That's right.
And he starts screaming.
Is his bed against the wall?
His bed is against
There's
the
nothing
wall.
behind it.
Right.
Oh,
yes.
no.
This is
Okay,
what I was
no.
confused about.
Yeah, no.
And the dog, they have a dog. Their dog is like
Okay,
in
thank
the
you.
doorway, like staring and barking. And then the door like slams when the hands grab his arms. And then it cuts to Toni Collette like in the room being like, what's happening? And he's like, what the fuck? Like, why are you trying to pull my head off? Why are you trying to pull my head off my body? And she's like, what are you talking about? Like, I just ran in here because you were screaming so much. But there's already been this like doubt placed in your mind because she sleepwalks and like does
So we
kind
think
of
it
attack
might
her
have
children.
been her
There's
hands.
no proof that it wasn't her. It looked
Okay.
like her hands.
Mm.
It's spooky. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know what happened.
Good trick.
Okay.
And she's
Okay.
like, and she's like, mind you, at this point, like so frantic and like, she's like, yes, okay, something is going on. Something is going on. Don't tell your father what you just said to me. I'm the only one that can stop this from happening. Something is going on. And Peter is very scared.
Mm-hmm.
And we get a cut to the drawings, and they were of Peter.
They're of his face, yeah, with like X's over his eyes.
And like tears falling down his cheeks.
Okay.
So Annie takes the sketchbook that all the drawings of the Peter are in, and she's like, I'm gonna burn it.
That
Throws
always
it in the
works.
fireplace,
That always
and
is
she
effective.
catches fire.
No, no.
Her arm catches fire.
The one that she threw.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
she's covered in all of her little miniature making materials.
Mm.
No, because she's linked to this book.
Oh, sorry.
And so she starts
How's
trying
wrong?
to pat out the fire, and it's not working.
Is she like in
She
pain?
pulls
Does
it
she
out.
feel it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hates
Okay.
it. Hates it.
hates it.
Pulls it out. Pulls the book out. Puts it out. Fire goes out on her. Doesn't hate it.
Exactly.
Back to Toni fucking Collette.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
She goes to Jones. She's like, what the fuck is going on? Things are bad. Pounding on the door. Jones not answering, but we get an inside look of Jones' house, and she has like a creepy ritual going on the table where she has a like triangle carved into her dining room table with a photo of Peter in the center with his eyes carved out.
What?
What? Joan? Oh my God. Okay.
And she
Ashley
looks
is on board.
and she looks at Joan's doormat, which she had noticed earlier, and said, like, my mom used to make doormats just like that. And Joan was
we haven't
like,
talked about her mom in a while.
haha. Like, so weird. What a coincidence. And then she like sees that again, and she's like, hold on a fucking second. Like, my mom made doormats literally exactly like this one. And she runs home, and she like goes into like the boxes of her mom's old stuff that she went through earlier, but kind of didn't really care about that much in the beginning. She goes through some photo albums.
Oh no.
Tons of photos of Joan.
Oh no.
Ooh, what a twist.
And she realizes Joan's been like playing her. And then she finds like some scripture from a weird book where it's talking about King Paimon. And like the parts that are highlighted are like King Paimon is like, well, the part I can remember is that he's a man and he prefers a male's body.
Yeah.
So he's like Satan. They're like Satanists, but
He's one of the
he's like
demons
a
of hell or
lesser
whatever.
official of
he's a
Satan.
lesser official.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And King Paimon is like looking for a male body.
Right. So we think that the son, Toni Collette's brother, killed himself.
Because her mother was trying to put Paimon into his body.
And so he killed himself to escape that, we think?
Yes.
Fuck.
And this also explains why Charlie was like, Grandma always wanted me to be a boy.
Okay.
So then she like is like, well, let me go up in the attic and like find more of the like things that my mom left behind, and opens the attic door with the little thing.
Nothing good.
Climbs
is in an
up
attic.
there, and like a bunch of like flies like swarm at her, and she goes up and sees a dead body
No.
without a head.
And it's burnt.
It's like black.
Yeah.
Is it Charlie's? We don't know.
Well, I forgot to say a thing earlier.
Okay. Tell us now. Tell
I'd like
us
to say a
now.
thing now.
So Steve got a call earlier that was like, your mother-in-law's grave has been like desecrated
Oh, so it's her mom. So you assume it's her mom.
in the attic. Oh, then we get the Peter at school scene. He all of a sudden raises his hand, and the teacher is like, yes, Peter. And his face is so
I don't know how
insane.
they did it.
How
Oh
the
my
fuck
God.
did
I
they
have
do
no
this?
idea.
Oh,
It's
explain
prosthetic.
it
I mean,
more.
they like,
Yeah, what does
they
it look
like,
like?
They must have like taped his eyes back. His eyes are not right. One
He's
eye is like half
lost it.
closed, and one is like so wide open.
It's
he
a-
looks
If
insane.
it's makeup only and practical effects, like they nailed it because his
Oh,
face looks
shit.
off in a way that you couldn't.
You couldn't do
You couldn't
as
do
an
it.
actor,
Well,
as much as you tried.
Like a human
It looks-
can't make their face.
Right, it looks
Right.
asymmetrical to your eye, where you're looking at this actor's face and he's completely still, and you're just like, you're
Like almost
fucked.
like a stroke.
But it's,
Stroke,
like half his
exactly.
face.
but it's
Yeah.
subtle enough that you're not like, oh, this is blatant.
Well, his
It's not.
class-
It's not
his-
gore. It's
Yeah.
just like
his classmates are
Off.
like, look scared. Like it
Yeah.
like cuts to like a few of his classmates that are like, what the fuck is going on? And his teacher even is like, Peter, like, are what's going on? Are you okay? Like, what's going on?
yeah. And when his hand goes up, it doesn't go up to like
normal.
politely
It's like
raise a question.
shoot- it's
It's
like,
like,
it
90
kinda
degree
cranes
from
up.
his body. Like,
Yeah.
just like,
to an
it's
awkward angle.
It's yeah, it's like all clawed and shit. It's
Oh.
weird.
These are the details that are important.
things are important.
and his head slams down on his desk.
Twice.
Oh, I remember this in
Twice.
the trailer.
Busting his face
and
open.
Steve picks him up, and he's like passed out in the back seat with his little nose splint on. And then
oh no.
Sammy
Your
just
lead-ins to
deflated like a
every-
balloon.
And then
so he gets home, and Annie is like freaking out, and she's like, you gotta come into the attic. Like my mom's dead body is up there. It's black. I can't tell that totally that's her, or she's decapitated. And he is like obviously like very much like
Kind of over
He
it.
thinks she's a little crazy.
Yeah.
He's over it.
yeah. And he goes up there, and you hear him scream, and he
Oh.
sees it. It is there.
It's there in real. Okay.
And she's like, come downstairs. You know, in this book, drawings were happening, and it was all of Peter. All these drawings were happening without anybody drawing them, and I tried to burn it, and then I caught on fire, and so you have to burn it, and I might catch on fire, but like that's just a sacrifice we're gonna have to make. So you got to burn this book. And he's like, obviously, like, okay, like you're losing it, and you need help. And she grabs the book out of his hand and throws it in the fireplace, and he catches on fire, and he burns to death.
Oh my god.
Yeah, to death.
Wait, whoa. Wait, how? Wait, explain to me.
Yeah, to death.
Oh my God. Does he like scream? Is it?
Yeah. He's burned to death.
That's in the trailer too,
Does
though.
she?
This is
Yeah.
in the trailer too.
Oh
That
my
shot
God. You guys
standing
only
across from each other? Yeah.
watched the trailer.
So she's screaming, and then all of a sudden, it's like close up on her face screaming, and then all of a sudden, she's not screaming anymore. And
Yeah.
she's very straight faced.
Fucking nasty Toni Collette.
And then does he ever like char out? Or
Yeah.
and then
He
he's
chars
dead?
out for sure.
No, but I mean,
Good
like,
question, Emily. Wait a second. Does he char out? First of all, first question, does he die? Then the next question, does he char out?
But like the flames, go
They
away,
eat him
and then
up.
we could see that he's dead.
In
No,
fact,
not yet. I mean, no. You
Peter.
just
Pater?
Yes, Petra comes and sees his charred dad, and that's
Oh.
another moment of like
dad.
Peter.
Petra.
Peter.
Tid.
He wakes up.
So this happened in the middle of the night? The Peter
This
was
happened
asleep?
in the middle of the night.
Okay. Pater.
And so then Peter wakes up in his bed, and you see that Toni Collette is in the upper corner of his bedroom, floating in the corner, staring down at him.
Floating? How floating?
Yeah. How floating is
She's
right.
Just like her, you see her like feet off the ground?
She's like in the rafters.
So she's a
like,
supernatural character now.
After her
Yeah, she's
husband burned
possessed
alive, she's
and
like possessed
capable.
now.
Oh, okay. So this is after he burned, but before Peter knows.
Oh my God, I
You
can't
see
believe he
her
burned alive.
floating. Oh,
And
God,
so
it's really
she's
sad.
behind him.
So now
He
it's just the two of them.
He feels her presence and he turns slowly to look at her. And as he does, she like silently like float runs away. So he doesn't see her.
He chases. Oh,
Not
what
yet.
chases him out of
Well,
the?
no, I think he's just like, what's going on? Like, where are my parents? And
Doesn't
so he like
run
leaves
out of
his
that
room.
bedroom?
He leaves his room and he's like looking, and he goes downstairs and he's like, Mom, Dad, like, and then he sees his dad's burned corpse.
Oh, right. That's when. Yeah.
Oh,
And then it slowly pans up a little bit to see his mom sticking to the ceiling above him silently. And I think it's like scarier that it's not, there's no sound design
Yeah.
to
She
like
just like
jump
is
scare you.
there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things he does really well too, as well as the composer, is like they take the sound out of it.
Yeah.
They
So
make
it's just
it
Yeah, like, it's like,
absolutely quiet,
If
and you're
she
like,
popped up, that'd be one thing. But the no clue is like, how long has she been there? Could she be
Yeah.
there all the time? Is there like
Right.
yeah,
That's scary.
And then
God, yeah.
and then he turns because he feels like the presence of someone behind him. And you see a naked man
What?
in a doorway.
that guy is who?
It's
Paimon?
nobody.
Paimon?
It's
It
just
is
so
somebody.
scary.
It's the people in that fucking. I found this out.
Yes.
It's the
yes,
people
it's
in
in
that,
the
like-
funeral from the
Mhm.
beginning.
From the funeral, they're using the same people
So
as
in the funeral, when she's
specters.
like, oh, everyone here, my mother would be pretty suspicious that there's like so many strangers here, and they all like make a reappearance later.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Also-
But
in
this
that-
part, I think, for me, is the scariest part, where
Oh,
it's
no.
just
Is he a
a
ghost?
single man. No, he's just a naked man standing in the doorway, staring with a huge smile on
Oh,
his face.
I
no.
thought I
The smile
didn't think
is
she
no
was going
good.
to say smile. Yeah, thank God you
Oh.
said smile. I don't remember. I thought because
Oh
they also
man, I was
used-
really scared.
they used people from that group therapy too.
Yes,
They also
yes,
came back
yes.
as like,
The implication being that they've all been kind of like
It's all been,
following
like, a
her. It's
setup.
been
Yeah.
a fucking plan.
They're all like
And
Satanists
they're
for
all-
for Paimon.
Exactly. So Peter is like in the living room and he sees his dad's dead body. He sees this naked man like in the corridor, like staring at him, smiling. And then Annie lunges out at him. And this is like one of the biggest jump scares for me. And chases him down the hallway, and he runs up into the attic, and he's able to close the attic before she gets in. And he's just hearing like bum 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 bum. And this is when
this is the most traumatizing part visually,
Ugh.
and you can see it in the trailer
Oh, in the trailer.
yes,
In the trailer.
if you look.
Oh no.
and then it cuts to her floating clinging to the attic door, smashing her head on it. And he is like, no, stop it, mommy, stop it, mommy. And so then he goes to the area of the attic where the grandmother's body was. It is no longer there, but it's surrounded by candles. And it's a photo of him again.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
With the eyes gone.
Oh, God.
And then he goes, okay, you just have to wake up. Just wake up. Just wake up. Just wake up. And then he hears...
No.
And he looks up. And it is Toni Collette hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, no.
What? I don't know. What?
This is the only...
I don't know.
This is the only part of the movie
her
I knew.
own neck with a piano wire.
Wait, slicing her own neck with a
Cutting
piano
her own
wire.
head off.
She is decapitating herself.
With a piano wire? Wait, why a piano wire? Why is a piano relevant?
I don't know. I just looked up that in the trivia.
Just
That's
a
what
wire.
it said.
Man,
A wire.
pan,
She's
piano.
slicing
It's
her own
essentially
head
like
off.
a metal wire.
So she made it
Easiest
through
thing.
the door somehow. And she's in there.
Yeah, spectered
because
it.
spirits.
Yeah.
She's slowly sawing her head off.
She's sawing her head off at first slowly, and then she speeds up, and it's just like exactly. She's about to cut it off, and then Peter sees three of the naked people in the doorway, like smiling at him, and he just is like panicked, throws himself out the window, knocks himself out.
From jumping out of a second-story window.
Oh, the light.
And that light, it focuses on him. It comes in, and so it ends in that like unified point on him. And so when he wakes up, he's not Ricky or Tid or whatever the fuck his name is.
Petar.
One of those.
Petar.
He
He's
wakes
whatever the
up
light is.
and he sees Annie's headless body floating into the treehouse that Charlie...
Completely, again, silent, dude.
Silent. There's no
one
like
fucking
spooky sound design.
It's just a
that's the thing that
floating
makes it
decapitated body. It was eerie as shit.
great. So he goes up into the treehouse with his headless mother, and his headless grandmother is also in there. And
Every headless motherfucker you could think of.
oh
is
yeah,
up
yeah,
there.
Charlie.
Charlie's in there. Everyone's bowing.
Without their heads.
Yeah, well,
bow
a lot
your-
of them are bowing without their heads.
Some of them bowing with heads.
Some are with heads.
Oh, like the naked people are in there too? Like the freaky...
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes. It becomes clear that it's like they were cult members who have been following Paimon.
So Paimon does come into Peter.
So he's the
Petar.
light.
Yeah.
So
Fuck.
it ends
Holy
with
shit.
Anne Dowd saying, "You are one of the 8 kings of hell," and "Hail Paimon, hail Paimon."
Hail Paimon, hail
And
Paimon.
it ends with them chanting "Hail Paimon."
What is crazy to me about this movie is it really feels like it wasn't until the very end that it became about demons. Like, obviously, that was like the through line, but most of the horror was like real gnarly family shit. Like,
Grief.
yeah.
Isn't that what we want out of everything? Like comedy, horror,
Right.
whatever. If it's based in
Like truth?
reality, yeah. And it's something that we can either relate to because you're watching and you're like, ugh, that would suck, or that did suck when I went through it.
Right.
Yeah. Henley, will you see it?
You know what? I'm planning on retiring early.
What does that mean, Henley?
So I think when I have a lot of free time on my hands later in life.
Oh,
past-
literally retiring early. Okay. Okay, no, I'm with you now.
I think I'll add it to my list of things to do.
So you're going to watch this movie in like 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
Great. That wouldn't be early, I guess. 20 years would be early. 30 years would be average.
That's my timeline.
I'm not saying how old we are. I'll never see this movie ever, ever, ever.
Was there anything
An image that will stick with you.
that really scared you?
Oh my God. Okay, so the literal only thing I knew about this movie before watching was the sawing her own head off. And oh my.
How did you only see that?
I didn't see. Oh my God, I didn't see it. No, I'll never see it. Never, ever, ever, ever see it. A friend was telling me about this movie, and he did the like motion of
Yeah.
like, and I can't. Fuck. Listeners of the pod know that I don't like when any parts of body are separated from the core of the body. I want it all to stay. I want it all to stay where it belongs. Kill the whole thing or not, but keep it together. And that's really upsetting to me. I think honestly, though, what's going to stick with me is the girl being decapitated at the beginning, because I truly did not see that coming.
Me too.
And
the boy's reaction.
Oh my God, the idea that
the
it's
brother's
like
reaction is the thing that sticks with me.
And
that's
oh my
the
God,
most powerful part
looking
of the movie,
in the rear
I'd
view
say.
and then not, like, holy fucking
That's
shit.
definitely the most powerful part of the movie.
This has been great and so scary. Please nobody put a hex on my house. I have to go to sleep here alone and I will be scared. George, anything to plug?
Yeah. Thank you, Emily.
You're welcome.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I did have a really amazing time, so thank you. Even though I'm
We
really
loved
scared.
having you.
George.
Come back anytime.
It was a joy. I do have a show, I think, coming out on November 21st. Thank you.
21st. 30 days has November, so
Yeah.
21st.
21st.
It's called No Activity, and it was by some really nice people that are really funny and cool.
Where is it going to be? What
It's going to be
network?
on CBS All Access.
Oh, cool.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Very
and,
cool.
and it's like season 3. So the first couple seasons had really great people in it that are phenomenal, and I'm pretty honored. So
Ooh.
I can't wait to watch it. I'm
I
so
can't wait to watch
excited.
it either.
Watch it. Guys, hey,
From all of
from
us.
all of us here.
Bye.
Goodbye.
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 Hi guys, Emily here. Thanks for listening to another episode of Too Scary Didn't Watch. We had a delightful time with George, even though this movie is so deeply upsetting. Go ahead and subscribe to the podcast if you would like. It means a lot to us. Rate and review on iTunes. You can follow us on social media at TSDW Podcast. On Instagram and Twitter. You can send us an email at tsdwpodcast@gmail.com letting us know what movie you'd like to hear us do. We'll happily trick another friend into watching it. And that's it. Thanks. Bye. Love you. Bye.